Very good afternoon to all of you. It's an absolute pleasure and a privilege to be a part of this incredible Rajasthan Architecture Festival. I have to make a confession. This is my first outstation travel after 2.5 years. So I have been holed up in Bangalore for all these 2.5 years. And I cannot imagine a better way than getting back into full force by what I have witnessed over these past 2 days. Incredible discussions, stimulating interactions, the exquisiteness of the city, I would say, and obviously the hospitality that IIA Rajasthan is most synonymous with. So it's a wonderful, wonderful feeling being here with all of you. And my heartfelt gratitude to the entire team of IIA Rajasthan for this invitation. I have been amazed to see how efficiently and meticulously and with warmth you all have been working on this event for the past 3 months. And I say Tushar is not here, but I have to say a special thanks to him. When he told me that, I was actually delighted when he told me that the subject of architectural writing, which is my expertise, deserves a platform as huge as this. And gratitude to him for picking me to be talking about it. We have been speaking about the metamorphosis of architecture over these past 2 days, and I work at the intersection of architectural design writing, thinking, curation, communications, journalism, and criticism. And my topic for today is aligning to an evolution that I would like, or we would like to notice in scripting architecture, which is from thinking to writing architecture. So I started writing when I was just 6 or 7. I used to be a very shy girl, and words were my favorite mode of expression. They could express what I perhaps was not able to verbally communicate, but more than that, they scanned my mind. They were a sort of an inner discovery, and they picked up my deepest of thoughts and emotions, collecting at the fingertips to be released. So that is my essence, and I think that is the power of writing. Ankar Warikoo, an entrepreneur, says, writing is the slowest form of expression, and that is why it works. When you write, you train yourself to pace your thoughts and select the most powerful one from all the thoughts that coexist in the moment. When I graduated from the Chandigarh College of Architecture in 2005, I mustered up the courage to decide that I did not want to become a practicing architect, and I wanted to embrace the career track of an architectural writer and dwell into architectural journalism, architectural writing, architectural criticism, architectural curation, architectural communication, and I wanted to know how these subjects impact architecture as a subject, profession, and discipline. Over the past 17 years of my profession, they have led me to question that if we can think architecture, why don't we write it? Writing is thinking. And if you say that you know what you're thinking, but you cannot express it, then probably you don't even know what you're thinking. Writing, as I said, is thinking. Just a second. So somehow could you just push the next button from there? The flow chart is not coming in. Just do the next from there, no? Do the next. No, something has gone off. There was a flow chart before this. Is it not showing? No, don't. Hold on, hold on. There was a flow chart on this. Is it not showing there? No, it is not showing. Have you guys deleted it when I sent it to you? Okay, it must have deleted. But anyway, what I was trying to say is that writing is thinking, and writing might begin from the words on the paper, but they actually begin, I'll just put it on this slide. Writing actually begins, they might begin from the words on the paper or on the desktop or on the laptop, but actually they begin from the mind. Writing scans your mind. It enables clarity, helps you to think clearly and critically. It evaluates diverse facets of an idea. It cultivates an analytical approach to understand the idea. It makes you research. It makes you question. It helps you articulate an idea, and it helps you communicate it. My diverse engagements over these 17 years with global architectural and design publications, firms, organizations, and institutions associated with the architecture and design industry have reiterated the importance of writing skills in architecture. Life is all about stories. We are all wired for stories. Architecture and design are emotions which are all about storytelling. Architectural writing then becomes a tool to interpret this medium of storytelling into words. On the face of it, architectural writing actually becomes a language to communicate architecture, but it actually becomes a lens to understand our society, history, and culture. So while that may be the holistic intention of writing, but if we have to categorize the intentions of writing, then Shani Raja, a well-known journalist, says that there can be different intentions for writing. We can write to inform our readers, we can write to persuade or convince our readers, or entertain our readers, inspire and motivate our readers, educate our readers, or transform our readers. Sometimes there is just one intention of writing. Sometimes there can be overlapping intentions of writing. Sometimes there can be one primary intention, but a lot of secondary intentions to support that primary intention. Whatever is the intention of writing, everything impacts architecture and the design fields. Architecture and design allow for multidimensional growth and development, and I would like to think that we have progressed enough as a society to understand that architectural training is not and should not be directed only towards churning practicing architects. Over the last few years, we have seen a number of avenues spring up, and a few of them you can see here on the screen, right from architectural documentation, architectural journalism, architectural criticism, architectural history, architectural research, and architectural communication, and architectural writing forms the core thread for all of them. The next important question is, whom does architectural writing benefit? If it only benefits professionals like me who have taken on the career of an architectural writer, then why am I even speaking about it on a platform that is discussing architecture, cities, and nation building? I would say architectural writing is important, imperative, relevant, and mandatory for anyone who is connected to architecture, design, and building. And all of these whom you see on the screen, of course, for those who want to pursue a career in architectural writing, but also for students of architecture who are expected to dish out number of assignments, thesis report, dissertation reports, and whatnot during the B.Arch or M.Arch. Then architectural writing is also important for architects, designers, practices, and firms who document their designs and build an archive or share and communicate design ideologies. Writing is important for those who want to begin an architectural design discourse. They might want to influence and impact society, city builders, and the government through their writing. Writing is also important for those who want to conduct research in architectural writing, or also for faculty members who would want to use writing or communication as a tool to effectively transfer their pedagogical skills to students. Writing is also important for those who should know what a design conveys, and by that I would mean everyone, including masses and society. Writing is also important for city builders and governments who have to build a city, and they should know what a good design entails. Surprisingly, for most of the younger set of architects, this entire new term concept of architectural writing is very new. But if we dwell deep into the global history of architectural writing, we will realize that the relevance of writing to architecture had been established long back, but somewhere the seriousness got lost along the way. So the first earliest text on architecture to have survived and been discovered was written by Marcus Vitruvius Pollio, whom we most popularly know as Vitruvius, a Roman architect who is most well known for his treatise on architecture, which is called De Architectura. It was published in 25 BCE and rediscovered in 1414. He basically wrote it in Latin as a guide on building projects, and these were 10 different books on architecture pertaining to 10 different themes in architecture, and it was translated as On Architecture and finally as the 10 books on architecture in 1915. Post that, there was Leon Battista Alberti, who was a very well-known Italian architect, author, and philosopher, and he came out with the next major book on architecture, which is called the De Re Edifactoria in 1452, which was again a reformulation of Vitruvius' 10 books on architecture. Before Vitruvius, there have been information that there might have been writers who survived and were present before that, but since there is no concrete information on that, so we generally consider 10 books on architecture as the first book on architectural theory. And post that, there was Andrea Palladio, who wrote 4 books on architecture in 1571, and again, he was inspired by Vitruvius. Of course, if we come to modernism and if we come to postmodernism, I know the text is not very clear here, but we have had many master architects who have contributed to architectural literature and have let writing inform their practice. So I'm just calling out a few names if it's not clear for all of you, right from Frank Lloyd Wright to Le Corbusier, Mies van der Rohe, Louis Sullivan, Louis I. Kahn, and coming down to, if we have to speak about India, right from B.V. Doshi and Charles Correa. Apart from them, there have been a lot of writers who have tried to initiate a discourse on architecture and design. So there have been people who have been non-architects, right from John Ruskin, T.E. Hulme, A.H. Combridge, James Jacob, William Curtis, Lewis Mumford, Ada Louise Huxtable, and then also a lot of trained architects, right from Kenneth Frampton, Paul Goldberger, Herbert Bushchamp, and if we have to talk about India, then right from Christopher Benninger, Sheesh Berry, Jamini Mehta, Yatin Pandya, Gautam Bhatia, and so many more names that we can all be proud of. In fact, if we have to speak about the oldest architectural publications that were launched worldwide, we see that they were launched many, many decades back. UK's oldest B2B magazine, The Builder, which was meant for the entire building industry, was launched in 1843. Architectural Record, one of the oldest magazines of the US, was launched in 1891. Architecture Australia, which was the in-house magazine of Australia, was launched in 1904. And Journal of Indian Institute of Architects, which is the in-house magazine of the Indian Institute of Architects, was launched in 1934. I worked in collaboration with the Indian Institute of Architects in 2013 and was asked to spearhead an issue, and they were very kind enough to let me select a topic that I wanted. So I said that I would want to dedicate an entire issue to architectural journalism and architectural writing. Surprisingly, before that, no other magazine in India had thought that architectural journalism or writing was a topic so important that an entire issue could be devoted to it. So this issue of Journal of Indian Institute of Architects, which was published in August 2013, was the first time that a magazine in India had dedicated an entire issue to architectural writing and architectural journalism. A lot of well-known academics and a lot of well-known architects wrote for the magazine, but I always quote this one specific article by Professor Satya Prakash Varanasi, whom I had invited to write on why architects do not write. And when he was reflecting on writing, he made a very pertinent point that all the concepts or all the theories that we know about in architecture or all the art movements that we know of, whether it's postmodernism, Renaissance, deconstruction, the reason we know about them is because someone wrote about them and because there was architectural literature pertaining to them. So the thing is that architectural writing has always been considered very integral to architecture, but the need to acknowledge it, the need to appreciate it, and the need to provide training in it has been a very newfound phenomenon. And I don't talk about only India, but I talk about many countries, barring a few countries in the US or in UK, where writing is not even considered a mandatory subject in their syllabus. Because I got into the profession as a young graduate, or as a fresh graduate, I would say, in 2005, So the journey that I have kind of lived is a very solitary journey where there were no knowledge of resources, opportunities, avenues. Hence, I always knew that the experimentations and the exploration that I would be conducting throughout my journey will be put to some good use. So one of the main aims of my career from day one has been to promote and advocate the subject of architectural writing. And I started by doing it with talks, seminars, orations, conducted a lot of workshops from 1 hour to 3 hours to 5 hours to 1 day to 3 days to 5 days, and then did a lot of master classes on professional and academic platforms. Almost 19 months back, I came out with a 6-week online certified course called Writings in Architecture. And I am involved with conceptualizing, curating, mentoring, and conducting the course. And I'm very blessed that ASICH, which is the brainchild of architect Geeta Balakrishnan, who has anyway held our attention over these past few months, they are hosting it. So we finished with the 8th edition of the course last week, and the 9th edition, it begins in July. So we have completed around 8 online batches in 120 plus contact hours, 380 participants and 15 countries. There are a number of striking learnings that I have gained from this course that I would like to share, because for me, they indicate the fact that people have started understanding the relevance of writing to architecture, and they are trying to align writing to architecture in many different ways. So when I began my first batch, I thought that every session could be just 1.5 hours and that would be enough. But soon after I realized that that was very little time. So now we end every session at a little more than 2.5 hours. And that also brings us another realization that when we start talking about architecture and design, our minds open up in different directions, and there are so many related discussions that we can have about architecture and design, which also establishes another fact which I have been trying to advocate, and that is communication, and all kinds of communication, whether that's writing or whether that's speaking, are important to architecture. Coming to the participant profile, as opposed to what everyone feels, only 36% of students are fill up the entire course, and I'm talking by plotting against all the 8 batches. 36% are students, the rest are all either fresh graduates, young architects, young practitioners, practicing architects, practicing designers, academics, citizen, activists, non-architects. There has been a great diversity in the batch. I have had batches where we have had someone from the first year and a veteran architect in the 70s. There have been some prominent architects who have joined in the course. I have had batches where coincidentally students and faculty from one institution, they have joined the same batch. And so that is to do with the participant profile. But I must also say that besides architects who are into mainstream architecture and design, the participation profile is very, very varied. We have people who want to specialize in biomimicry, sustainability, landscape design, who want to write for the society, who want to do research writing. And people who join the course, they want to align writing with architecture in many different ways. Some just want to do content writing. Some want to integrate integrate writing into their practice. Some want to do research writing. Some want to write a book. Some want to start a blog. And there are some cool ones who just attend the course because they want to polish their Instagram handles. So for me, that is the entire expanse of architectural writing. Coming to the next, I'll just take 2 minutes. Coming to the next striking result that I have noticed is how the batches are invariably full of women. Again, this percentage has been taken plotting all the 8 batches. So 89% are female and 11% are male. And I should be modest to confirm that I don't have any inbuilt power to scare away men. But this imbalance ratio has certainly piqued my interest to question that when in architecture, especially in India, we question the absence of women So when it comes to architectural writing, where are all the men? This is definitely a topic that I think demands research. And finally, I should also say that my batches have also taught me that architectural writing is not only about writing about architecture and architecture or design. They are also about discussing architecture. They are discussing about life. They are about discussing ethics, and they are about discussing responsibilities in writing. So this is my last slide, and I want to end with a quote by the legendary Charles Correa, who made us believe that literary spaces can be as immersive as built spaces. So I have kind of paraphrased the quote a bit. He said, "Architecture in the end is about wanting to make a difference even if you are only being paid to build a structure. It is not a queue in which we have to line up with perhaps the Americans ahead or the Chinese behind. No, each one of us has the opportunity to be on the cutting edge of where we live." This quote for me communicates that we all need to be unique in our endeavors. Coincidentally, when I was born, I was not named Apurva. My parents did not name me Apurva. But when I was going into the second standard in a bigger school, one fine day I just got up and I told them that I want to change my name, and now I want to be called Apurva. Apurva means unique, and I have always believed that each one of us has some unique quality about us. I think we must introspect and discover what makes us unique and how can we script architecture through those unique ways. Let us, as architects, we are always thinking architecture visually. Let us take a step forward to bridge this gap from only thinking architecture to also writing architecture. Let us together evolve, realize the potential of writing architecture, and be open to exploring the unique world of this, let us evolve together to explore this unique world of architectural writing, because it has numerous possibilities and numerous opportunities. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for the detailed insight on the topic. Now, I would request Architect Sanjeev Gupte sir to please kindly come on the stage and felicitate Apurva ma'am on our behalf.